You are about to meet one of the great pastel artists in America, and we're going to have a great time today. Aaron Schuerr, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're glad to have you. What are we going to do today?
So today I'm going to take a little, got this little oil study. Little
We're having
6x8
trouble
inch.
hearing you. Well, we're going to have to speak up a little bit. I'm sorry.
Okay. I've got this little oil study, and I'm going to do a pastel. I'm going to work on a pastel from that oil study, and
Okay.
see how far we can get. I won't finish it, but at least center in on an area and just develop that.
Okay. So you do oil and pastel.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Confusing.
Well, that'll be fun. And we're going to learn all about your plein air painting and all your adventures. You've got some pretty interesting ones. You were on a national TV show recently. So we're going to learn all about that in just a minute.
Sounds good.
Okay, good. So go ahead, set up your camera. We'll be back with you in a second, and I'll just make a couple of quick announcements. Aaron Schuerr is our guest today, and I'm Eric Rhoads, publisher of Fine Art Connoisseur and Plein Air Magazine, part of Streamline Art. And we are happy to have you here today on number 253. That means 253 days we've been doing this since the quarantine began. We've been trying to be here for you, giving you interviews with artists, demos, demonstrations, a lot of variety, and we're doing that every day at 12 noon. So welcome if you're brand new. If you're brand new, you should know that if you make comments, you might get selected for a prize. We try to give away prizes every day. Today's prize winner is the easel brush clip of a brush clip is Linda Straub from Pennsylvania. Congratulations to Linda Straub, and you will be getting a fine brand new easel brush clip to put on your easel in your either your studio or your plein air easel, or both, I suppose. And so congrats on that. Today's prize, we're giving away a plein air apron. I'm looking around my studio here. Oh, I see it. Hang on. We'll be giving away one without paint, one new in a package. Mine's a little bit messy, but they're really nice aprons. Anyway, we'll be giving one of those away, no matter where you live in the world. So make sure to leave a comment. We like it when you say where you're from. It's helpful to us. Also, it's good to give the artist a little encouragement when we can say, hey, we've got somebody watching from Saudi Arabia, Japan, Netherlands, etc. So it's kind of nice to be able to do that. Okay, a couple of things. A really big one, a really important one, is we're having a Christmas party. Woohoo, a Christmas party. And that's going to take place tonight, right? Is today Thursday? Yeah, it is. We lose track of time. We're going to have a Christmas party tonight, and it's called Eric's Christmas Party Paint Along. It's actually cocktails, and well, I'm not bringing the cocktails. You are. We're going to have a lot of fun, silliness, painting, Christmas cheer. We're going to paint along. We sent out today an image by email. If you're on our email list, we sent an image of what we're going to be painting, which is a beautiful little Christmas village. And you can paint along, or you can just be part of the conversation. I will just kind of take you. It's like a giant Zoom call with a 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 or 5,000 people, depending on how many attend. And I just grab people randomly and talk to them, get to know them. And it's really a lot of fun. We've done this at our live events, Realism Live and Plein Air Live. So that is going to be tonight, and it's late. If you're in the East, it's 9 to 10 p.m. But we did that because, a lot of people don't start drinking till at least 6 p.m. in California. Although I guess in Los Angeles, people are fully locked down, so they might be drinking early. I'm just saying. All right. Okay, so that's the Christmas party. And how do you get it? Well, we have a Zoom link for you. And I will make sure that somebody posts the Zoom link in the comments section today. If any of my team members are paying attention to that, if you'll put it in the comments, that'd be really terrific. I don't know where the link is. And I don't have a picture of the Christmas village either, but maybe we can get one in here and get that up so you can be looking at it and studying it, and then practicing and painting along. It's kind of fun to see how everybody interprets things and puts their own style to them, and so on. Okay, so being Thursday, let's see what's going on. First off, I want to tell you that Sunday we have coffee coming on Sunday morning for you. Sunday coffee. It's a blog I do, and if you sign up, go to coffeewitheric.com. It will enlighten you in some new way. I'm sure I get a lot of positive feedback on that, and once in a while some negative. I want to tell you we have the world famous plein air convention is going to take place in May. I'm thinking positively. We're all hoping that by May things will have settled out. Vaccines will have operated properly, and we will be able to gather again. And of course, if we can't, we have 100% money back guarantee. So that's going to be taking place. And make sure that you check that out. I want to tell you that we have a free gift for you. It's called 97 Amazing Painting Secrets from the World's Best Artists. And you can get it either on digital or DVD. And it's go 97tips.com. It's our gift to you. We ask you pay postage if you do the DVD, but you can get it immediately and stream it and watch it. And it's a lot of great tips from a lot of different artists. And we're working on a new one. This one we've had around for a little while, but we've got a brand new one that we're kind of working on. I should mention to you that we've been here every day at 12 noon, and you'll find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, etc. But if you want to find the library of all 253 days, it will be at YouTube. Just look up Streamline Art. And just hit the subscribe button. That'll do two things. First off, it'll make sure that you're always getting it, and that way it'll show up in your YouTube automatically, so that you know where to look for things, because sometimes we forget those things. Now, also, I want to mention to you that we've got a really terrific event coming up January 28th through 30th with a beginner day on the 27th. It's called Watercolor Live. I was talking to somebody yesterday who's runs a watercolor society. Well, it was who was it? I'm trying to think who was Kim. And Kim basically said, this is a rarity to get all these people together, to get this level of people together, and the high quality that we have here. It's a huge deal. And so we've done this with plein air. We've done it with realism. Now we're doing watercolor. We may have some other surprises around. We've just added some new people, including Glenn Knowles and Larry Moore. But we have an incredible lineup. If you go to Watercolor Live, you can find out more about that lineup. And also today at 3 p.m., we have for you Nancy Boren. She's going to be doing this incredible painting. You'll be able to see part of the process of creating this painting. It's called Light, Motion, and Drama. Nancy will be on at 3 p.m., same time, same place, Streamline Art Video on Facebook and YouTube. And we do these every day at 3 p.m. We've done them now for 253 days in a row without skipping a single day. And it's been good for the artists, because once in a while people will buy one and they'll make a little money on it. It's good for you because we offer a discount every day. There's a different one every day. And it's good for us because we're trying to make it through this coronavirus time as well. So that's what we got going on today. I should mention now that our guest has some incredible artwork, and I'm just going to show you some pieces that we pulled, and just so you can see what Aaron Schuerr does. Just absolutely stunning. Yep, he's the real deal for sure. Look at that. That's not easy. It looks easy, but it's not easy. And just incredible scenery. Please welcome Aaron Schuerr. Well, Aaron.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Look in here.
Yeah, I know. Well, you can step over for a second. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll go off camera. Nobody wants to see my mug anyway.
I need to duck down here a little bit.
Yeah, duck down there. So I'm going to go ahead and let you kind of get rolling. I'll just encourage you to keep your voice as loud as possible so that people can hear you, because I know you'll be turned away from the camera.
Okay.
All right. Good. Are you a lefty or a righty?
I'm a lefty, so I'll be kind of like this. So I'll try to keep my shoulder out of the painting.
Okay. Yeah.
So what I'm working on here is this is a little 6x8 over here. It's an oil, and this is a little teaser. I'm doing this sale right now. It's 12 Days of Christmas 12 paintings of Christmas sale, and I'm doing either a 6x8 or an 8x8 painting.
Great
that I'm
idea.
sending out to my newsletter subscribers every day, offering it up. So this is going to be this evening's painting that's going to be offered. So the email is going to go out at 6 p.m. But I thought,
Okay, well, they can join your newsletter.
What's that?
They can join your newsletter at aaronschuerr.com. I'll put it on the screen.
Yeah, and then so this will go out at 6, and I'm offering these framed. So what I'm doing here is, before I send that, before this one goes away, I wanted to get started on a pastel. You can see I'm doing a little different format. This is a 6x8, and then this is an 18x18. I just thought it would give me a little bit more chance to play up that storm effect that's coming through. So I got this blocked in.
Aaron, the small one, the study is an oil study you did on location?
Yeah. I didn't end up doing this one. I'd like to say that I did. This was down in the San Juans a couple of years ago, and I did paint that day. This is one of the photo references I took on my way back.
That's fair. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, so it's just been a picture that's been sitting around for a while, and I keep looking at it, and I finally took it out and thought, I really like the the moodiness. And I think what I love about an overcast day and a stormy day is that it's a chance to play up the local colors, all those reds and golds, and really bring those out.
Yeah, Aaron, I don't want to blow it for you here, but we're getting a lot of complaints about the audio. So it's really low. And so you're just going to have to belt it out the best you can. And I'm sure it may have something to do with the internet connection, but we'll do the best we can, folks. We'll just get through it. Hello, Roscommon, Ireland. Nice to see you.
Okay, so can you hear me now? Is that a little better?
Not much.
Wow, I'm right by the. Okay, I'm gonna try to stand right by the phone.
Well, let's go right up to the phone for a second, and let's just see if it makes any difference, because it may be about the connection. So just go right up to the phone.
Hello. Can you hear me at all?
Yeah, I think it's about as good as it's going to get either way. So we'll bear with it, folks. I know that it's going to be a little tough. Just crank your audio up the best you can. I apologize.
Yeah, sorry about that.
There's no exact science to this when you're talking about internet connections and cell phones.
Yeah.
And if you can kind of explain what you're doing while you're doing it, that'd be helpful.
What's that?
If you can explain what you're doing while you're doing it, that'd be helpful.
Okay. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to try to play up one area here rather than, just for the time constraints, rather than working everywhere. I'm going to try to build up the center of interest here.
Okay.
And try to really bring that out. Start bringing out the contrast between light and dark in here, and starting to define some of these areas. And this is the tree that caught my eye and made me stop. And so I think of it as kind of a group portrait. This is the main part of the portrait, and then they're in conversation with these trees back here. So I'm just going to build up this area here and try to, just to give you a sense of where I'm going to go with the rest of it and see how far we can get.
All right. What's the key to painting birch trees? Is there a particular magic to it?
What's tricky about aspens is
those are aspens.
In this case, you got a light against a dark, and then as it comes up into the sky, it's actually a dark against a light because the light of the sky is coming through. So you get these funny transitions sometimes in the aspens. There's a lot more color and contrast in an aspen than it looks. Our brain says, oh, they're white, but there's a lot of subtle little colors. And so I think that it's a chance to play around.
Yeah.
You know, you can push, because you've got this, you know, like when I get back into the golds of the trees, you know, I've got those bright colors, but in here I can play around with little warms and cools within the structure of that tree. The other thing I think about, it's a little like looking at a if you think of a still life, you're looking at a vase. You know, that vase turns, and you've got so the darkest dark is not it's a little bit in, and then it turns. You've got a white lighter edge, and then it turns again. So it's not it's you know, I think in terms of a still life object in a way.
Right.
So I'm going to exaggerate this light side here. I might have to tone that down. But even on an overcast day, there is a light source. So there is a dark and a light to that aspen. But the contrast, the light here is going to be brighter down in here where it's a light against a dark than it is going to be up in here where it's a dark against a light. So I have to work that transition, which sometimes can be a little confusing. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, it seems to be everybody's okay.
Good. Okay. So this is the messy stage. But, you know, just trying to slowly get a little bit more definition on that tree. And so one of the things I want to do here, there's two ways I can play with the contrast between the tree and that stormy sky. And one is to have, you know, contrast of value,
right?
And then the other one is to shift the temperature. You've got these blues back here in the sky, so I'm going to try to warm that up just a little bit on the trunk, so that there's a little bit more contrast of color. Because from my references, I've darkened the sky from what my reference photos are. I've made it a little darker than what my reference photos show, just because I wanted to really get that drama that I remember from that day. I think
photos tend to blow out the lights anyway.
Yeah, it's absolutely, it's a very good point. So and I should mention, while I'm working on this, I'm going to at least part of this will be used in I'm putting together a pastel course for Sentient Academy. And this will be like a full 9 or 12 week course, you know, all the nuts and bolts of pastel. And so I'll use at least part of this in one of the lessons there. So that would be a fun thing to look up. All right. So I think the hard thing with pastel, and this is true in oil as well, is I find that I get the definition that I want, you know, the form, and then I lose it, and then I reestablish it, and then I lose it again. There's a lot of back and forth until it starts to coalesce. So but you can see it's starting to get it's a little bit messy, but it's starting to get a little bit of definition there.
Well, what I like is that, you know, you're just making lots of little marks. You're not actually drawing, so to speak, using the side of your pastel.
One of the things I think about, and like one of the lessons I actually just did with for that course, is really looking at the painterly aspects of pastel. So I took I did side-by-side demos of an oil and a pastel just to show that a pastel, like you look at the pastel here, I'm going to hold this up here.
Your hands are so lovely.
A drawing medium, you know, you got the tip. Well, I spend more time using the long side of it. This is like my number 10 brush, right? And so I'm going to fill in with the side of that just like you would with a paintbrush, and get, you know, cover some real estate. And then by doing that, even when I start to get into the details, the pastel gets worn and it gets a little edge there. And so I'll show you here. You take that little edge that's been built up there.
Sharp edge, yeah.
Yeah, and rather than trying to draw in a line, which looks artificial, you know, I take that and just push that edge.
Right.
And that way you have an edge, not a line. And I think it's one of my quotes that I keep going back to is I think it's Monet that said, "There are no lines in nature, only forms one against another." And that's been a really good concept that I've really thought a lot about. You know, because we see, you know, sometimes we'll see lines, you see branches and you think line, but it's an act, you know, it's a round object. It's not a line. So trying to get that sense of just working these edges one against another, these forms, you know, like here, this is a blue earth pastel. You can, you know, use the edge there and, you know, play around with the different sides of the pastel and get something really fun and more vibrant.
Uh-huh. Hello, Manitoba, Canada. Hello, Czech Republic. Hello, Norway.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
You're
exciting.
pulling them in. You're a popular guy.
You know, that is one of the silver linings of the pandemic, is just this connection, I think, that we've been making as a, you know, as a global community, a global art community. It's pretty neat.
Good. Yeah, I agree. Hello, Brazil.
Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start to establish a little bit more the extremes of the value range. So this is kind of my workhorse here. The you know, this color in here, this is going to carry through. I'm going to be a little softer with it, and then I'm going to take a brighter color in here and let myself play up a little bit more edges. This is the kind of work, though, that I want to be stepping back a lot, because I find that there's a magic line when you start to tease in a little bit of detail here, you know, like the bright colors on the grass.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy, at least I find from my experience, to go too far.
Yeah.
You know, and or to lose sense that you still have to be orchestrating these, you know, these highlights, these lighter bits on the grass. You still want to be grouping them.
Trying to indicate.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. So, but anyway, so I'll keep working that out, but I'm going to just keep kind of work. Normally, I wouldn't necessarily just hold to this one area. I would be working all over, but just to try to get somewhere with this, I'm going to just really hone in on this one area. So again, rather than trying to get the perfect edge on that aspen, I can use the negative, which is the bright colors of the leaves here, to refine the edges on that on that tree. That way, everything has, you know, you want a relationship of colors and forms. And so if I use the negative to really refine the positive shapes, and kind of push and pull between them, it's gonna develop a nice relationship of these forms. So get a little bit of light here, So again, this is a cool light source. So on a sunny day, these lights would be warm. They'd be, like a yellow white. And then the cools, the shadow area in the aspen tree would be bluer, maybe blue green. Whereas on an overcast day, I'm seeing some fairly, somewhat cool colors on the light side of the on the edge of the trunk, and then some warmer colors in the shadow area. So it's always a fun thing to start seeing. It took me forever I remember instructors years ago talking about warm light and cool shadows, and it took me I think it took me years to start really seeing that, because it's so subtle sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just remember, someone taking a still life course and them saying, you need cooler shadows. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So
yeah, I think color temperature is one of the things that a lot of people struggle with. I know I did.
I think it's a lifetime task or adventure to try to understand it.
Yep. Hello, Spain.
So I did speaking of Spain, I did a fun series this summer when everything was getting canceled. I did a plein air marathon where I did a plein air painting a day. They were all 8x10, and kind of like this project I'm doing right now, but they were all plein air paintings, and I posted one per day, per weekday till I got to 26. So I called it a marathon, and that was great because I got out in my local neighborhood, in Montana, and it made me get out and paint every day. But one of the guys who I got to know through email, right in the middle of lockdown in Spain, ended up buying 2 of the paintings. And I thought it was extraordinary that, they're right in the middle of the pandemic and in lockdown. And he's like, I got to have something to look at. So that was fun to make that connection.
Yeah, okay, this has become an international family. It's a lot of fun.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's...
Oh, you're in Montana. Did you say Montana?
Yeah. Yeah.
Lovely area.
I'm about an hour north of Yellowstone National Park. So,
all right.
I mean, I'll just grab like this. I think you showed this one. Let's see if I can you see that?
Yep.
This is about 5 miles south of town.
Yeah, it's really tough. So, really tough to live in a place like that.
It's yeah, there's those jokes about artists and artists before quarantine, you see them behind the easel. Artists during quarantine, you see them behind the easel. Artists after quarantine.
Yeah.
And being in Montana, there's a lot of days where I say I'll be working in the studio or working on my website, and I look out the window and I go, oh, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
And I just run down the valley. Paradise Valley is the area that I paint a lot. It's about an hour north of Yellowstone, so it's a good place to be when everything gets canceled.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
But
yeah, pretty rough winters though, right?
Yeah, we're having a slow start this year. Actually, my kids are getting frustrated because they got their skis all waxed and ready, and usually you can start skiing by about now. Livingston, the hardest thing here is we get just ferocious winds in the winter.
Not great for plein air painting.
Yeah, there are definitely days where, today's one of them where it's beautiful and sunny, but it's so windy that I'll get out there all through the winter, but there are days the wind is what really shuts me down.
I have become a snow painter. I really like painting in the snow.
Oh, isn't it great?
Yeah, it's cold, and you've got to, I'm learning the tricks. I'm sure you know them all because you do it so much. But
yeah,
one of the best tricks somebody told me is to take the floor mat from your car and
Right.
lay it down on the snow so that you're not standing on snow.
Yep.
And it kind of insulates your feet and your boots.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good one. Those little hand warmers, and I don't know if you've used those. They're the little
Yep.
packets that you put in your gloves.
Yeah.
Those are saving.
Hello, Romania. First timer, I think. Welcome.
I love hearing all these places. This is so exciting.
And India. Hello, India. There's a huge art community in India.
I took I did another. I've got 2 recorded workshops with Sentient Academy that I did, and one was there's a lovely young woman from India that took the course, and we've been corresponding since the course. Someone who's really learning to paint, and she was such a wonderful student to have, and it was so much fun to be able to interact with someone from a different country, even via Zoom or digital. But I really enjoyed that.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So one of the things I'm thinking about too, and one of the things to really think about when you're doing something like an autumn scene, where you've got these really intense colors, you can see that the intensity of the aspen colors here are going to be played off of these more neutral colors in here. So I mean, you can make a decision to go like Fauvist and make everything over the top, but then it's just going to be about color. If you want to still a sense of that moodiness and light, you really have to think about playing color against, like here, color against neutral. The neutrals in this case are fairly warm, because like I said, one of the beauties of an overcast day, overcast days are those days that you're like, oh, I always think, oh, I'm going to just stay in the studio. It's, it's threatening storms, or it's overcast. It's not that nice. But then you get out on a day like that, a day like this, and it's like there's so much drama and mood, and the palette is warmer. So
do you ever struggle with the idea of colors feeling too garish? I find that when I paint fall colors, I'm seduced by the intensity of the bright reds and yellows, but sometimes you get them back in the studio, they're just like feeling too colorful or too saturated. How do you deal with it?
No, absolutely. I hear you on that one. And I think that's, I think it's making those, I mean, I don't have the full answer on that one, because I have the same, I have the same issues sometimes. Sorry, I'm looking for a color here.
That's all right. Hi, New Zealand. Welcome. I see the, let's see, Northern Arizona University Alumni Association saying hello. Hello, Deborah. Welcome.
So I think that, like it kind of relates to what I just said, that you want to, some of it's making strategic decisions about what areas you're really going to play up the color. So, in this case, you've got these really rich colors here, but what are they played up against? Are they, if it's all this, and then if I'm really, really bright in here, then it's not going to, I want places of rest, and I want places of excitement. So I think a lot about that, about using the bright colors, fall colors, to orchestrate the scene. I don't know if that answers your question.
It helps, certainly helps. I mean, I think that, the idea of the neutrals really makes a lot of sense. Now, you don't have a lot of cool colors in the foreground. You have cools in the background.
Yeah.
And so that helps, because having that intense color against those cools makes a big difference.
So let me play, this might help answer the question too. I'm going to play around up here. I'm going to move from up here, move up to this top part here, because you've got this really, vibrant, intense color in here. But now up here, I've got these, even though the local color of these leaves up here is, if I picked any of those leaves, they're just as bright as the leaves down here. But these are silhouetted against the sky up there. So in this case here, I'm thinking color first. Just pour in the color. I can modify it later if I need to. Here I'm going to think value first, because even though these are also the aspen leaves, they are they're a dark against a light, and they're silhouetted. So I'm not, the human eye isn't very good at seeing contrast and color at the same time. Like if you're looking into sunshine, you can't really see the color very well. So it's one of the things to think about, is what kind of light you have. If this is, this is being lit and it's not against a high contrast, so the color is really showing, your eye can really catch the color. But up here, my eye is going to see contrast first. Same thing over in here on this one. It's just going to see the dark and light. So I'm going from this, bright colors here, stuff like that, to this
darker value,
very subdued color. And what I'll do, I still want to get a sense. I still want to tell you that there's color up there. Right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get a little bit of this darker value. I could go even a little darker than this, I think. See, my pastel is disintegrating. So I'm going to go even a little darker here. And then what I'm going to do is see if this works. I'm going to bring some color over that dark. That's a little too bright. Let's try. A lot of pastel work is putting things down and going, oh, that's to this, that's to that. Let's try this.
I think that's kind of the way it is with everything.
Yeah. So let me just try this one. Yeah, there we go.
Blocking the tree. There we go. I know it's hard to paint sideways.
Oh, sorry. Let me get to the side here. So here's what I'm going to do is I'm taking, this is like my workhorse. This is the value. And then I'm going to go over the top with a little bit more, and I think I can go even a little brighter here, color. And that hopefully that color is going to be married to the value here.
But not the same value. It looks like it's a lighter value.
Mix, like in here you can see, I mean, I did that as well here.
Right.
But you can mix that a little bit more. Here I'm having to get a little inventive because of the color choices I have in my palette.
What are you painting on? Are you painting on a panel?
This right now, usually I have this. Usually I dry mount the paper to like gator board or hardboard.
And are you using a sanded paper?
No, this is it acts like a sanded paper. It's pastel matte.
Pastel matte.
Okay. Yeah, it's a French paper. It's kind of crazy. It acts a lot like a sanded paper, but it doesn't have, like, if you feel it, it feels like a cardstock. It doesn't have a tooth like a sanded paper.
Yeah, that's kind of nice.
But you can see it. I mean, I'm building up layer after layer after layer. It's a little bit more permanent than a sanded paper. A sanded paper, like on a sanded paper, it's really easy. Like, say if I really mess up, I can just kind of brush it off with the sanded paper. This one, it's a little bit more permanent. So I have to be a little bit more deliberate with my choices. But I love that it builds up the layers. It doesn't eat up the pastel quite as quickly as a sanded paper.
Yeah.
So
Do you ever use, I know you do oil painting as well. Do you ever use oil pastels with your oil paints?
I haven't tried it.
It's
It'd be fun to
wonderful.
try though,
I've been
right?
playing with that lately. And because you can get some marks you just can't get with a brush.
Oh, right. And you're mixing the two?
Yeah, you can mix the two. You can paint. I learned it from Rose Franson when we did a video with her. And so she just puts this oil pastel, on top or mixes it in with the paint. It's wonderful.
Wow. I might have to give that a go.
Yeah. Sennelier makes it. It's good
Okay.
stuff. Big
Yeah,
oil
I've
sticks.
seen it. I just have never given it a try.
Yeah, it's fun.
The medium that I would like to maybe over the winter start to figure out is gouache.
Yeah. Well,
'Cause,
then you should attend Watercolor Live. Larry Moore's going to be doing a gouache demo.
Ooh. Yeah. What is it? Is it Mike Hernandez?
Mike Hernandez. We have a video out on Mike Hernandez that did gouache. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that work. And what I've been thinking about it is, I do these. I occasionally will do backpacking painting trips. Like this summer, I did a 6-day trek across the Beartooth Mountains with my oil gear, and there was times, my pack was 60 pounds, over 60 pounds, and there was times I thought, I should learn gouache because that would be a lot lighter.
Yeah.
To do a trip like this.
Yeah. Well, on trips like that, it's pretty good to go for a 4-color palette.
Yeah. Yeah, but even then, just with by the time I got the tripod and
Oh, I know.
But it's worth the trouble though somehow.
Some days. Yeah.
Yeah, this summer, the other big trip I did this summer with, having things canceled was this 26-mile trek across the Beartooth, on my own, and I think I did 10 paintings on the trip over 6 days,
and then you just camp out.
Yeah, I just depending on where I was and what the mosquitoes were like, what the weather was like, I either just bivvied out. I've got a sleeping bag and then like a little Gore-Tex bivvy bag that goes over it. So some of the days, I just be out painting and I think, it's going to get dark. And so I just find a spot and throw my sleeping bag down. And the great thing is then I get up in the morning, make my coffee and look around and start painting.
Yeah. Then you're getting up with the sun.
Yeah. Don't have to set an alarm because it's just in my sleeping bag. So you can start to see that, you can see the difference between how I'm handling the color against the sky here versus
yeah, it's a lot darker
here, a little more muted.
Yep.
And as I go, like as this develops, I'll have to really gauge how these relate, as I build it up. The other things I think about color that I really want to touch on for pastelists out there is it's really easy. I'm going to move that down. Sometimes when you're working with pastel, and I think this is true with oil as well. Actually, it's true for any medium. So you put down a color, and there's times when I look at that color and I go, "Ooh, that's a little bit too strong. That's a little too intense. It's a little too vibrant." And so I want to just immediately tone it down. And I guess my experience is that I tend now to just leave it alone for a while. So if I put down a color that seems a little too bright, unless it's really obvious, build up that context around it and then decide if it's too bright, especially in plein air painting. I find that sometimes, like when I'm working, teaching a workshop, I'll see students just try to knock down their color because they put down some color and it feels too like it's too much. And then at the end of the day, their color's all very muted and not very exciting. When they started off with some exciting color. But color exists in context. So you want to build that context around, say like this area that's really bright, build up that context around it. And then if you need to knock down that color at the end, then you can do that, if it's still too strong. But sometimes we scare ourselves into less dynamic, less exciting color choices. And then the other thing, like I've said before, that I really think a lot about with color is just, again, it has to do with context, is really playing up color against neutral and deciding, really thinking about, is this about the value? Is the value more important than the color here? Is the color more important than the value here? I mean, obviously they're both important. They have to work in concert with each other. But which of the two is more dominant in that case? So now I'm really starting to dig in into the paper. If you could actually see almost a little impasto with the pastel. So I'm going to try to get some of that grass a little bit more established. But
you got about 7 minutes, so you're cranking it out.
I'm trying. Well, this one's not going to be finished. That's for sure. We'll post it when I do get it done. But I think you can start to see where the whole thing's going. I'll keep, as I go, I'll come back in and I'll, these are a little, I don't want to say clunky, but they're, they could use a little bit more refinement. So I'll come back in and touch those up, the darks. But I don't know what you call those on aspen trees. The gashes.
I think that we call them darks.
The darks. I'm sure it's got a name. I was just thinking that
somebody will know. Somebody will put it in the comments.
Name for that. But yeah, send in a message if you know the name of what those things are. I find this work the hard, some of the hardest, just trying to get these little edges here. They can take too much attention if you go too far with them. So when you're out in the field, painting on location, there should be a trench behind you in the grass. If you're in a meadow, and that means that you're stepping back, checking, making sure that it's working, coming
kind of
forward.
like the famous worn carpet in Sargent's studio.
Yeah,
always stepping back.
Yep. Yeah.
What I do is I'll oftentimes put the paper towel at the back of my studio, and because when I need a new piece of paper towel, it forces me to step back.
Oh, that is a great idea. That is kind of genius. I like it. But yeah, you want to be stepping back because it's so easy to get detail, especially is seductive. It lures you in, you start playing around with, say, these little bits of grasses and the leaves, and it's easy to just forget the context and just start putting more and more and more in there because it's exciting. It's exciting to see it emerge and build up. But you want to keep stepping back because at the end of the day, you're telling a story, and you think of it, if you're in a bar telling a funny story, you don't need to describe what every person was wearing, what they did that day, what they ate, how they felt. You want to get to the punchline. You want to get to what makes the story funny and what makes it interesting. And the same thing is true with the painting. I want to in this case, like, what's my story? My story is about the the unsettled weather and that deep space going into that really beautiful, unsettled, stormy weather coming in, and then the change of season. So, there's a larger story here, a larger context, and then this is, the focus of my story. And so anything that doesn't support that story needs to get toned down or eliminated. So, for example, when I get back in here, especially when you're painting on location, say you start working back here on this tree here, it's easy to forget that this tree relates to these, and to start putting in all the hard edges and detail that you have here. And then it's like, well, what is it about? So always be checking against your main idea.
Somebody asked if you smoothed the sky. We didn't see you paint the sky, but did you smooth that with your fingers?
A little bit. A lot of it is, so there's a couple ways to do this, and I can maybe demonstrate a little bit here.
Yeah, you got a couple minutes.
Yeah, so you can blend it a little bit, but the thing that's dangerous about blending is that it also will knock down the vibrancy of the color.
Right.
The other way is, with this paper, as I build up layers, and I say, as I go further in, as I layer up, I'm going to have a lighter touch, and that pastel will actually do a lot of the work of blending.
Okay.
So you can see, see that? So just by taking that pastel and bringing it over the top of that other layer,
it naturally blends it.
It will start to blend itself. Yeah. So I do blend a little bit with my finger, but a lot of times it's just like, say there's right here, there's a hard edge right there.
Right.
So I might just take my finger just to knock that edge down. Like it's similar to what you would do in oil. But I'm going to be really careful with too much blending. I don't know exactly how to say it. It makes the painting look a little bit over-mannered, and it loses some of its excitement. It starts to look a little too. I'm having trouble describing.
Overdone.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
My wife has a saying: "It's not done till it's overdone."
God, we're all there. Yeah, I struggle with that. I think sometimes I think about it as, when I'm painting, I don't want to prove anything. I want to communicate something. So, like it's easy to want to, I don't know, like it's that junior high thing where you want to prove that you're good. You want to prove that you can paint an aspen tree that's really convincing. And that's not really what moves people. It's that you communicated something that's personal to your own experience. And so I have to just try to remember that that's what it's about.
Starting to block it again, but well, it's really interesting to see how rapidly that came together, how beautiful it is. What a nice job. You're a good teacher.
Well, thank you for having me on here. This is really fun.
Why don't you put the camera back on you for a second, and then we'll chat for just a second before we go.
Okay, I'm going to do this back then a little bit.
All right. You were on the Kathy Ireland show. Isn't that right? Was it Kathy Ireland?
Kelly Clarkson.
Oh, Kelly Clarkson.
Yeah.
Cool. That's neat. And I saw the segment. I don't remember exactly what they said, but they basically kind of called you a modern day Monet or something like that, right?
Actually, it was kind of funny. She called me Bob Ross 2.0. Which
You're going to have to grow your hair out.
I said, we all love Bob Ross, but I hope you understand that he's not a great painter.
Well,
like,
to his credit, he brought a lot of people into it, and
absolutely.
Everybody has to start somewhere.
Yeah. Well, and that's why, when she said she wanted to say, call me Bob Ross 2.0, I was like, no, that's great. I'll take that as a compliment, because he did a lot to get people excited about painting, and that's what it's about.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's so many different styles. It's, anybody who's painting, I'm all for it, because I think it's great for us. Well, Aaron, I'll remind everybody, you can go to Aaron's website, and it's aaronschuerr.com, and you can find out all about all the stuff, the paintings that he has for sale, the courses, and everything else that he has. So check it out. And Aaron, thank you so much for being on today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast.
You're a fabulous teacher.
All right. Thank you. You take care.
All right. Okay. Our guest today was Aaron Schuerr. And I want to remind you of a couple of things. First off, tonight, yes, we're having a Christmas party. It's Eric's Christmas party paint along cocktail hour. We're doing it at 9 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. Pacific, right? And wherever you are in between. And so we're just going to have some fun and get to know each other. And I just wanted to get it done before everybody got deeply into the holidays. And it was kind of a last minute impromptu thing. I don't know what's going to be happening for Christmas, whether or not we're going to be around or not around. And so we're just kind of getting it done. So that's going to be tonight. And there will be a link, should be a link in, if somebody got the email and can put the link to the Zoom call in the email, that would be terrific. In the comments, that would be terrific. And otherwise, we sent out an email yesterday. If you're not on our email list, you're missing out on things like that. So you want to be part of that. Tomorrow's guest is going to be Kathy Odom. And Kathy does amazing plein air paintings. And she's such a delight, so sweet, fun to be around. So that'll be fun to have her on. And just want to play this for you real quickly.
Join the world for Watercolor Live, the ultimate watercolor learning event, January 27th to 30th. 4 days of online art lessons from top master watercolor artists from around the globe. Learn to paint nature, people, cityscapes, flowers, and more. Become a better artist. Click the link to learn more and get our free ebook, 101 Watercolor Secrets from the Top Masters.
The retail price on Watercolor Live is going up another $600 between now and when the event happens. If you register before the 6th of December, you're going to save quite a bit of money. So go ahead and get that done. We have 100% money back guarantee on that. And that means if you watch the first day and by the end of the first day, you don't love it, if you don't feel like you got your entire money's worth on that first day, let us know. By the end of the day, we'll refund your money. We, of course, have to cut the cord. You won't be able to attend the rest of it, but that's okay. You'll still have gotten the first day. And that's not something that really only one person has ever done to us. And we want to make sure that you're happy. And so we happily refund money if it's not for you. Anyway, that's Watercolor Live. Be a great Christmas gift. Somebody that I know said that she bought it for her son and daughter-in-law to watch. They live in Europe somewhere, and so they're going to be locked down some more. And what a great thing for people who are locked down. We're finding from this daily broadcast we've done now for 253 days, we are finding that people all around the world are discovering art. We saw people today, new ones from Romania, New Zealand. It's so refreshing to see people joining our little art family and to be part of this idea of learning and growing together, getting to know other artists, trying different mediums, different styles. I'm getting excited about everything because I just want to do it all. And I never knew how to do some of these things like pastel, like watercolor, some of the different multimedia techniques that we've had on. And so it's really, really fun, and a lot of different styles and approaches, and everybody's got something they can teach. And that's why, even though I'm an oil painter, I love to watch the segments of people who do other things, because it informs my oil painting, and it also is getting me excited about doing some other things as well. Anyway, keep your head upbeat, positive, stay happy. What's the term? Keep your head in the game, right? And have a terrific day. Don't doom scroll, just stay positive. You know, this has been a really weird year. I suspect it's going to continue to be weird for a while. And hopefully 2021 will be less weird, and we'll get back into some sense of normalcy. But in the meantime, we're here for you, and we'll stick it out. And please give me your feedback in the comments, or just drop me a note on Facebook or Instagram. And I'd love to have you follow me. My name is Eric Rhoads, and I'm the publisher of Fine Art Connoisseur, Plein Air Magazine, Fine Art Today, Plein Air Today, American Watercolor, and Realism Today. We've got a lot of stuff for you guys. You can find it all at streamlinepublishing.com/everything. All right. Have a terrific day, and we will see you tomorrow. And thanks again to Aaron Schuerr. Be sure to visit his